Hello and welcome to the show. I'm on Homebrew vehicle Sandbox. Today, trying to create the fastest electric vehicle I could, but I needed to build a chassis to put all of the electrical stuff in, and I decided I was going to build an estate car, kind of loosely based on a Volvo 850R, kind of as a generic estate car sort of shape. I wanted plenty of space to fit all of the stuff in, as I built the last couple of cars a little bit too small, so I went for a fairly sizable vehicle. This was the sort of the width that I had decided on. Estate car is a pretty simplistic shape to build, in all honesty, which is good. This game, it can be a little bit difficult to build sort of really curvy stuff, so an estate car was a nice easy thing to go for. And it gives me a lot of space to fit. I didn't know how many sort of batteries and motors and all of the components that I would need. So by having an estate car, you can have lots of space to chuck all of the stuff in. Building the actual frame itself was pretty damn straightforward, in all honesty. You can see here that I'd pretty much got it sorted. Only custom pipework I had to do with this one was the bonnets, the windscreen, and the bit of the sort of the diagonal at the back of the vehicle. The windscreen took a while. I spent a fair bit of time faffing about with that, trying to decide and getting the right height on it. Eventually settled for the height that you see here. And again, making sure to keep everything symmetrical and everything in line. Did a much better job of that this time round. Much better, all lined up and symmetrical. So it was much easier to work with. Again, once the sort of the basic frame was done, I just added in some more sort of support bits, just to make it look a tiny bit better. And that's the basic frame done. Not too complicated. A build of the chassis, if you like. Then it came to the wheels. Now these have got to be sticking out slightly. Unfortunately, you can't really put the wheels inside the wheel hub. The game does U-shaped pipes, but wheel arches aren't actually U-shaped, which means the wheels never quite fit. So again, I'm going with the same strategy as I have with previous vehicles of stick the wheels slightly outside. Okay, it's not quite in keeping with an actual car, but it's the best that I can do. And then we came to the electrics. Now, I've the few electric cars that are around, most of them have 4 motors that have a motor per wheel or something. Now, because of the way that the wheel hubs work on here, you don't actually have to have the motors right on the wheels. I figured, we'll get plenty of motors. We want this to be a really fast electric vehicle, so I put 10. And I didn't quite know how the batteries are going to work, so I shoved a load of them in the back of the vehicle. Of course, we've got the driver's seat in as well. We've got, there's plenty of space in the back of this for shoving in batteries. And I always figured, if we needed more, we could always extend. There's plenty of space in the back. And then, of course, it came to linking everything up. And yes, there is quite a fiddly process if we've got so many blooming batteries. And then we're going to connect them to all of the motors at the front. I will be honest, yes, it does look a little bit silly with all of their motors, but I figured we might actually get some serious speed out of this car by having that many motors. So with all of the motors, the motors linked up with the batteries and all linked up to the seat, I also came to the conclusion we should probably make this thing 4-wheel drive. It tends to make the cars a little bit easier to drive, especially when you're going for something with potentially this much speed. At this stage, I really didn't quite know what to expect from them. I think I went for the electric motors with gears. Is the motors that I went for with this particular vehicle. Yeah, not really knowing quite what to expect. 4-wheel drive, much safer bet on this car. And then I went around and finished up with the rest of the connections, making sure that I sorted out the wheels so that it's got the grip setting reduced to the 0.3, so that the vehicle doesn't just kind of flail around. And here it is. It is ready for a test drive. It's also a little bit snowy on this game at the moment, which is always good. So yeah, I figured that I didn't really know what to expect. I figured it might be a bit interesting, and then things started sort of instantly be a little bit weird. First of all, we didn't actually have a huge amount of steering, which caught me out slightly, and then I realised the slight problem with this car. When I went to go forward, it just sort of catapulted itself around, and then it got stuck on its side. It wasn't controllable, basically. There was just absolutely none of the controllability That was me just tapping forwards, and it just fires itself at the scenery, which is not good. We don't want that. We don't want that with a vehicle. Now, this is the sort of thing that's happened when you have the grip set far too high on the vehicles. So I was confused by this, as I'd made sure this time to actually have the grip, set up right. It should have normal grip. It's just bunny hopping its way forward there. Yeah, it's not ideal. You don't really want the vehicle doing that, particularly. I was confused very much by this. I took it back to the garage. I made sure that I hadn't messed up the grip and put far too much grip on the wheels. I hadn't. It was still at the 0.3. It was still going mental. I tried extending the gear ratios like a huge amount on the electric motor to try and stop it doing this, essentially. That didn't work either. It was still wanting to just fire itself forward. That was 1.5 rolls in the air for no apparent reason. It just something was going on with the vehicle that was making it very unhappy. I could kind of I say you could kind of get it moving with, like, if you just had a tiniest of tap on the accelerator. I was using the keyboard for the driving as well, which isn't ideal for this. So yeah, that wasn't working. It wasn't working. I spent ages trying to figure it out. Came to the conclusion maybe we have too many motors. Maybe that was causing the problem. So I took out 4 of them. We're now down to 6 motors. The car's running away from me. No, come back, you stupid car. It's gone. It's it's very clean. I need to be able to have a handbrake to stick on with this vehicle. Yeah, I figured the motors, maybe it was just too much power to the vehicle. So taking some out, I'd hoped it may make the vehicle a bit better to drive. As you can see, with it cartwheeling almost instantly, still wasn't particularly good. Admittedly, that crash there was not to do with the motors. That was more to do with running the vehicle down a hill at a silly angle than it was to do with the motors. We have got some ground clearance on this, but it's not exactly an off-roading truck. The brakes, that's one way of slowing down. That's one way of stopping a vehicle. You go towards a rock, then sort of slam on the brakes. I may have had it in reverse, or I may have ended up putting it in reverse, and then kind of doing a front flip, back flip, one of the flips, and sure, that's a method. It's not the conventional way of stopping a car from from having forward movement, but it did work. And with these motors, I could kind of get the vehicle working, but again, it was very much tap on the accelerator, coast, tap on the accelerator again. Then that's not really ideal. And of course, it's very easy when doing that for it to just suddenly decide to fall over, which is not good for drivability. I had to go back to the workshop and take off some more motors, and left it with 2 in the front. Now I was thinking that I was going to need a decent number of motors. Like, put more engines in these vehicles, you'll make them more powerful, you'll make them faster. That was my thinking with the motors. Now, even with 2 motors and the grip set to the normal sensible level that I use, this is still wanting. I mean, you saw it do the wheelie there from pulling away. You can't just floor it. It has so much grip, torque, acceleration, something that, I mean, yeah, electric motors do have a hell of a lot of torque. I wasn't expecting to have quite that much, shall we say. Yeah, it just threw the car into a wheelie. However, with 2 motors, the car's running away again. Blooming, really need a handbrake. Blooming cars. Yeah, with 2 motors, you have to quickly jump in the thing. It is drivable now. It is a lot more drivable. Have to be a little bit careful getting it going, sort of the initial launch. Once you've got it started, once you've got it up to speed, see we're over, I think we've just clipped the 320 kilometers an hour mark there. It has got some serious speed to it. I think 320 kilometers is about 200 miles an hour, there or thereabouts. So this is a seriously fast electric car. Seriously bloody scary trying to set off. Again, that was me trying to be a bit too brave on the pulling away. Yeah, once you've got it up to speed, you can then get it seriously fast, and it's not too bad to drive. The chassis and everything was working pretty well. Like, this was a sort of a good shape, a good design. We didn't have any problems with it kind of rolling over, aside from the stupidness with the power. The brakes were good as well. I was quite surprised. It was probably the best braking vehicle that I've had. Things did go a little bit too crazy, and I'm still not quite sure on that one, in that particular that particular roll, and then trying to roll it back onto its wheels is not working. It did get slowed down. One of the best vehicles I've had for the slowing down. Although you did have to be a little bit careful you didn't do something silly. But yeah, 320 kilometers an hour in an electric vehicle. There we go. We can get wheelies as well. It'd be much easier to drive with a controller, with some triggers. I was having problems with the controller when I initially played this game. I should probably try plugging it in again. I could get the throttle to work, but the steering wouldn't, or the other way around. Can't remember. One of them. That's why I'm playing this just on a keyboard at the moment. Yeah, on keyboard this is almost too powerful. It's just it's just super wheelies. I could probably put a big wheelie bar on the back. Could make it interesting. Just watching that has made me think now I should have put a wheelie bar on it. That could be interesting. Interesting modification to the to the electric silliness. But yeah, it does work eventually. Once you've got it up to a little bit of speed, then you can put the power down and it is kind of drivable. Don't bump into a bloody rock. That was a silly thing to do. That was my driving fault, not really a fault of the car. Yeah, the actual estate car chassis, if you like, was pretty good for this. It was pretty stable considering what we're doing with it, putting this much, I guess it's torque through it that's causing the problems here. Yeah, it's pretty good, and the two motors will get it up to some serious speed when you've got enough control of it, when you've got a large enough area to kind of run it up to speed. It will get almost 200 miles an hour, or around 200 miles an hour, out of this vehicle. It is, yeah, pretty crazy for an all-electric vehicle, and it has plenty of range. Plenty of range in this. You can see the little power thing in the bottom right-hand corner. That big stack of batteries that I have in the back of it means that it'll keep going for ages, basically. Yeah, it does like to roll over a little bit. It's just too much torque, too much speed. Scary car to drive this, but once you do get the hang of it, you can just about drive it quite nicely. Yeah, the brakes there may have wanted to be spinning around. I don't know. Don't ask. And then I'm going off exploring again. Pretty damn crazy vehicle, this one, but very, very fast. 200 miles an hour, near enough, in an electric-powered estate car. Then there's me getting slightly lost, trying to figure out where the hell I'm going, and then realising we're going towards water. Water bad. No, electricity and water doesn't go together. Somehow I saved it. I don't quite know how I saved it initially, and then things have gone upside down, and then that's not quite... I don't know how I got it out of the water. It does some random crazy things, but when it is being controllable, when you are driving it, it is damn fast. However, that is it for this build, so thank you very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.